Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I don't have a whip. But man, this game took me by surprise. Released on the 9th of December by Machine Games, the same people who made Wolfenstein, who have a certain pattern. But this one is a bit different. This game is an adaptation of the classic Indiana Jones franchise. An archaeologist who hunts down artifacts whilst a very bad man also wants this artifact for very bad reasons. Same here. In this review I won't go over any spoilers. I will go over each aspect that I think make the game and then give it my final rating. So it's time to get into it. Oh.
Detengo! Forza!
Thanks, pal.
You are Indiana Jones, obviously, and you may recognise this. And yes, this is a near enough one-by-one recreation of the first film's opening scene. You're on the hunt for a golden idol with your hombres, who are not really your hombres, but you know. But the recreation here is magnifique. Fantastic. Nearly identical, but with some unique little changes. After that segment, you are now an archaeologist professor in college. You do some professor stuff and then you go downstairs, you hear some bad things happening, and you find a giant.
Alright, pal. You can't sleep here.
And he's stealing some important items that you, Mr. Indy Jones, you got. So Indy as a big man went, come on then, bro. And then he got folded, destroyed, and then the giant man disappears. But Indy finds a little amulet. Because he's a smart archaeologist man, he realizes it says Vatican City. He also notices special cat mummy has been taken by the big ass man. So you set off to the Vatican to go find him. However, this is just the beginning. You reveal that there's someone else in the picture. Quite a few other people in the picture actually. Something bigger than the giant. I will leave the story there to savour your experience of the story, but damn, I really liked it. It unfolded very nicely and neatly. There was a few twists that I went, oh, that's cool. It's a classic Indiana Jones story, sure, but you know, that's what you goddamn expect. It has a good mix of intrigue, action, emotion, and humour that you kind of expect.
I have killed many men like you.
Hey!
And it fits perfectly into the franchise. For an Indiana Jones game, I personally think it's one of the best ones that they've ever made. In which there's only been a few games that they made. And they've done a really good job with it. It's a very cinematic story, you got good characters, and gameplay to cutscene flows very nicely. Great job, Machine Games.
His purpose? Huh? What is it? Hamburgers and picture shows? You have no history, no nation, no leader. What you have is your stupid American cartoons. Choo-choo, choo-choo.
The characters are good and rememberable. Personally, I love the villains, especially Voss, that freaky ass German. I found him convincing and interesting. You know, he's a bit freaky and creepy. He's got a good character to him. Every time he was on screen, he had a presence about it. His Oberst by his side, Ernst Vogel, is also very interesting.
Welche Unfähigkeit aus Respekt zum Führer toleriert. Aber das hier, das grenzt an Hochverrat!
Mir untersteht die gesamte Wehrmacht! Ich könnte sie hier und jetzt erschießen und keiner würde es hinterfragen! Also hinterfragen auch Sie nicht meine Hingabe zum Führer!
Faszinierend.
And they also have quite a few funny moments in the game. Speaking of which, the game also is quite funny at times in Indiana Jones fashion. Indy, of course, is fantastic. In fact, I was fooled by thinking the voice actor was actually Harrison Ford when I actually looked at it and I found out it was Troy Baker. That man is everywhere, but goddamn, he is talented. The acting's pretty good. Your side character Gina grew on me too, and she has a decent little character arc and storyline that she goes through. A very good addition to Indy's character as well. Kind of works with a Nathan Drake and Sully dynamic. You know, where they both help each other.
Huh?
They also have like little character details like Gina's fear of water and Indy's fear of snakes. And then they all come around full circle, you know, kind of play their part into just humanizing them a bit. All characters melded very well and stuck out perfectly to create an authentic and unique experience. Very rememberable. All these characters help each other with their development. Very good job again.
Shanghai! And those are Japanese warplanes!
Mio Dio! This is really, really bad!
I love this world, honestly. You go to a bunch of different places, which include the Vatican City, Pyramids of Giza in Egypt, the Himalayan Mountains, Shanghai, China, Sukhothai, Thailand, and Iraq. These maps are wonderfully designed, and they've got all these different details that just help build it into a better creation. These worlds were perfectly crafted to the last minute detail. The underground tunnels and catacombs were also very, very good, made extremely well. Feels just like an Indiana film, but it's interesting to see these places and also be inside of them in interactive media. You know, I love the Pyramids of Giza. Other than Assassin's Creed Origins, there's not too many games where I can actually go around the pyramids itself, see all the Sphinx and that type of stuff. It's very cool stuff. Also, if you're interested in history, it's also a real nice treat. I learned quite a lot about ancient languages, that type of stuff, like Adamic. They'd have Indie pictures of a certain artifact or a building or whatever. It would tell you about what that is, and yeah, it was very cool stuff. Exploration is available with side missions in this semi-open world. Some levels are bigger than the others, like Egypt, and then you got Himalayas that aren't, but each of these places being a map on its own. You can also find skill books that you use your points to unlock new abilities. A bit of parkour thrown into it, which it works. You know, you get your whip, swing down things, and that was fun. Climbing's a bit slow, but it's Indiana Jones, not Nathan Drake. I can get over it. But man, wonderfully crafted world. The soundtrack was dope too. I can't show you most of it because, you know, copyright, but you know which one. It also has many, many, many callbacks to the films.
Why'd you have to do that?
And it stays pretty loyal to the original films. Helps it a lot to actually give it that feel of it being a video game adaptation of the film. It's still unique, but it matches the feel for Indiana Jones. It really feels like. In my opinion, it's an excellent adaptation. And when I finished it, I actually want a sequel.
You almost had it! Hey, get over here!
Combat! Oh, sorry. I was actually very, very surprised with the combat. I came into it a bit skeptical because obviously it was a first-person treasure hunting game. Most of them don't do that. You got your Uncharted, third-person, Tomb Raider, third-person. I didn't know how to feel about it, and because it's Indiana Jones, I didn't know how it was going to play out. However, thankfully I was pleasantly surprised with the combat. Unarmed combat is very whippy and snappy and crunchy, works very well, and it sounds beautiful, it's satisfying, it's fun. Each punch sounds like Indiana's iconic whip. Speaking of which, you can also use your whip as well. You can use it to stun people, or you can use it to grab them, bring them over, grab them, and beat the living shite out of them. You can dodge, block with light attacks or heavy attacks. Basic, but done very well. You know, it's very fun. It's not exactly the most complicated, but it works very well. You can also pick up most things around you and use it as a weapon, which is a beautiful thing. You know, you can pick up a broomstick and just... or you can pick up a hammer. And they are abundant, so it's a tactic you'll be able to employ quite often throughout your game. You can also obtain guns from the bad Germans and use it as ranged and melee. You can just spin your gun around and just fucking wallop everyone. Again, as mentioned before, there's skill books that you can obtain that gives you new abilities, so it kind of gets you into exploring a bit more. Stealth is decent too, there's nothing too special about it. It works well enough. Just your classic sneak behind someone, take them down. The gunplay is pretty good for me personally. I'm a sucker for good sounding guns, right? If I've got a shotgun, right, and I shoot that bad boy, I want to feel all that fucking horsepower kicking into my shoulder, and I want to hear it sound good. That's what I want to hear. And guess what? This game sounds beautiful with its guns. And it's all versatile, right? All these things that I mentioned you can add into one fight. You can sneak up to someone, bash them down. See someone over there, pick up a bottle, throw it at the head, they're stunned, right? Grab the whip, grab them, headbutt them, punch them down. Someone's there, you grab a sledgehammer, kill him, grab his gun. Oh, you ran out of ammo? No worries, spin it over. It's so good. Man, I love the combat. It was... Also, the action sequences during the story are also pretty decent. Each mission had their own stick-out action sequence that really you remember after you finish with it. So yeah, good combat.
How did you find this place?
There was a old scroll inside the chest. Let's just save it for another time, huh?
Puzzles! As is with archaeology, trinket hunting, treasure hunter games, there is a lot of puzzles, which is a vital part of the game, right? Indiana Jones, Uncharted, Tomb Raider, right? You need these puzzles. And yes, Indiana Jones puzzles are decent. Some are straightforward, and some are a bit more out of the box, but I still had fun with most of them. I didn't find myself getting frustrated with many of them, like some puzzle games do. And of course, that feeling of accomplishment and achieving something after you've done it, that moment when you finally crack the code right, you're like, ah, that's it. It's good stuff.
After you.
Now, of course, cons. Every game has them. Not one game in this earth is perfect. No matter how much I've been gushing about it, it does have some flaws. The main one that comes to my mind after I finished the game, after around, I believe, 22 hours, was the actual gameplay of the boss fights itself. Now, you have some boss fights, and they aren't exactly... they're just a bit meh. The build-up in the story is pretty good. However, the actual gameplay, it doesn't really change much. I remember there was one that was gimmicky. It just wasn't spectacular. Also, the AI for the enemies isn't exactly the brightest in the world either. But hey. My conclusion. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is a near-perfect adaptation in my opinion. They've combined pretty much every aspect of the films and merged it into a game format which works pretty well. It's a bit of a simple-ish game. You know, it's not got many complicated mechanics, that type of stuff, but it's simple and it works really well. Also, it's a bit of difference with other treasure hunting games like Uncharted, where it's all third person. This one's first person, and don't get me wrong, it's not really like Uncharted or Tomb Raider at all, except maybe the story. Pretty much all of the games in every single franchise. I am treasure hunter. I want treasure. Oh no, bad guy wants special treasure. I must stop bad guy get special treasure. But hey, this one, if you're a fan of these type of games, I urge you to play it. And if you're an indie fan, it's a bit of a no-brainer. And if you don't like these type of things, just give it a shot anyway. That's just my 2 P's. So in layman's, the story and characters are very good. Combat is crunchy and fun. The puzzles are pretty decent. And the world is great. So what would I rate Indiana Jones and the Great Circle? I'm giving Indiana Jones and the Great Circle an 8.9 out of 10. Oh yeah! Highly recommend. So if you made it this far in the video, comment Strambo so I know who the real ones are. And yeah, cheers mate for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.